The enigmatic encounter Kai Matheson adjusted his tie for the 5th time, scanning the upscale restaurant for his blind date. His best friend Jerome had been insistent about setting this up, claiming she was perfect and unlike anyone he'd ever met. Kai had reluctantly agreed after months of Jerome's badgering, though his expectations remained firmly in check. "Just don't be weird," he muttered to himself. Taking a fortifying sip of water, that's when he saw her enter. She moved with a fluid grace that seemed to part the air around her. Her midnight blue dress shimmered under the restaurant lights, creating an illusion of stars dancing across fabric. Her long dark hair cascaded over one shoulder, revealing an intricate tattoo that peeked out along her collarbone. When their eyes met, Kai felt a jolt of something inexplicable, not quite recognition, but a sensation like déjà vu. The woman smiled, a knowing curve of her lips that seemed at odds with a first meeting. "Kai," she said, approaching his table. "It's been a long time." He stood awkwardly, extending his hand. "I'm sorry, have we met before?" Jerome didn't mention that. A flicker of disappointment crossed her features before her smile returned. "I'm Lyra. And no, Jerome wouldn't have known to mention it." Throughout the appetizers, Kai found himself captivated by Lyra's stories of her travels to remote corners of the world. She spoke of ancient temples in Cambodia with the familiarity of someone who'd traced their stones with her fingertips. Described the northern lights in Iceland as if she'd danced among them. "You seem to have been everywhere," Kai remarked, increasingly aware that she had barely asked him anything about himself. "Not everywhere," Lyra replied, her voice softening. "Some places remain beyond reach even for me." The conversation flowed effortlessly, yet Kai couldn't shake the sense that they were having two different discussions. One on the surface, and another coded in her meaningful glances and careful pauses. "Tell me, Kai," she said suddenly, setting down her wine glass, "do you ever dream of falling stars?" The question struck him like a physical blow. His recurring dream, the one where he was tumbling through darkness punctuated by brilliant lights, always waking before impact, was something he'd never shared with anyone. "How could you possibly know that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lyra reached across the table, her fingers cool against his wrist. "You really don't remember me, do you?" Before he could respond, the waiter arrived with their entrees, breaking the moment. When they were alone again, Kai leaned forward. "I think you've mistaken me for someone else." "No mistake," Lyra said, her gaze intensifying. "We share a history that spans more than this lifetime, Kai. I've been searching for you for a very long time." The restaurant seemed to fade around them as Kai struggled to make sense of her words. "That's impossible, is it?" She pulled a small velvet pouch from her purse and emptied its contents onto her palm, a fragment of what appeared to be a meteorite, glittering with specks of blue crystal. "This might help you remember." When her fingers brushed his as she passed him the stone, images flashed through Kai's mind, soaring through star-filled skies. "A palace of crystal, Lyra's face illuminated by twin moons. What was that?" he gasped, dropping the fragment onto the table. Lyra's eyes held a mixture of hope and sadness. "The beginning of remembering. The question is, are you ready to know the truth of who you are, who we were to each other?" As the evening ended, Kai found himself agreeing to see her again, drawn by a mystery he couldn't explain and a woman who seemed to know him better than he knew himself. Walking Lyra to her car, he hesitated before asking, "If we knew each other before, why don't I remember you?" She reached up, her fingertips lightly tracing his jawline. "Some memories are too powerful to keep. Sometimes forgetting is the only way to survive." Standing on tiptoe, she pressed a kiss to his cheek, her lips igniting another cascade of impossible images. "Until tomorrow, Kai," she whispered. "Sleep well and pay attention to your dreams." As he watched her drive away, Kai clutched the meteorite fragment in his pocket, wondering what truth awaited him when he closed his eyes that night. Fragments of memory Kai woke with a jolt, his sheets tangled around him and sweat beading on his forehead. The dream had been more vivid than ever before, soaring through an indigo sky, his hand clasped with Lyra's as they navigated between twin moons. The meteorite fragment lay on his nightstand, glowing faintly in the pre-dawn darkness. He touched it gingerly, half expecting another flood of images, but there was only a gentle warmth. His phone buzzed with a message from Lyra. "Meet me at the Hayden Planetarium. 10 a.m. I'll be waiting by the cosmic calendar." Despite the rational part of his mind screaming caution, Kai found himself drawn to her mystery. He arrived at the planetarium 15 minutes early, yet somehow Lyra was already there, wearing a simple sundress with constellation patterns subtly woven into the fabric. "You dreamed last night," she said instead of a greeting. It wasn't a question. How could you possibly know that? "Because I was there." Her fingers intertwined with his, the touch familiar in a way that defied explanation. "Walk with me." They moved through the exhibits, Lyra bypassing the informational plaques in favor of speaking in hushed tones about the cosmos, as though recounting personal memories. "The Pleiades cluster," she said, stopping before a display, "is where we first met. You were a guardian of the western boundary, and I was an emissary from the central systems." "This is impossible," Kai murmured, even as another memory flickered at the edges of his consciousness. A diplomatic gathering under 7 brilliant stars, seeing Lyra across a crystalline hall, her eyes meeting his. "Your human mind is trying to protect you from the truth," she said gently. "It's been 12 Earth years since you fell, since they made you forget." An elderly security guard passing by nodded at Lyra with unusual deference. She acknowledged him with a slight incline of her head. "Who are they?" Kai asked, increasingly uncertain whether he was experiencing an elaborate hoax or something far more profound. "The Council of Celestial Alignment. They believed our union would disrupt the balance between realms." She guided him to a secluded alcove where a meteorite display stood. "This is actually a fragment of the vessel that brought you to Earth." Kai stared at the rock behind glass, recognition stirring within him. "I had another life before this one?" "Many lives across many realms. But your true form belongs to the stars." Lyra placed a hand over his heart. "This body is merely a vessel, fashioned to contain your essence while you heal." Another flash of memory, falling through atmosphere, burning, screaming Lyra's name as darkness engulfed him. "If what you're saying is true, why have you come back now?" Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Because the alignment is approaching. Once every century, the veil between our worlds thins. If we don't restore your memories before the next full moon, you'll remain human forever, and I'll be forced to return without you." Kai pulled away, overwhelmed. "This is too much. I have a life here, a job, friends, a history." "A constructed history," Lyra countered softly. "Haven't you always felt something was missing? Haven't you always felt drawn to the stars?" Before he could answer, a sharp pain lanced through his head. He stumbled, catching himself against the wall as images flooded his mind. A crystalline spire, winged beings with light emanating from their fingertips, Lyra draped in ceremonial robes, reaching for him as guards pulled them apart. When the vision cleared, Lyra was supporting him, her face etched with concern. "It's happening faster than I expected. Your true self is fighting to emerge." "I need time to process this," Kai said, his voice shaking. "Time is the one thing we don't have." She pressed something into his palm, a small crystal pendant on a silver chain. "Wear this tonight. It will help channel your memories and protect you." "Protect me from what?" "From those who still believe our union threatens the cosmic balance." She glanced over her shoulder as if sensing something beyond human perception. "They've realized I've found you. We're no longer safe meeting in public places." As they left the planetarium, Kai noticed a man in a charcoal suit watching them intently, his eyes reflecting light in a distinctly inhuman manner. "Don't look at him," Lyra whispered. "He's a sentinel. They track disturbances between realms." That evening, alone in his apartment, Kai hung the crystal pendant around his neck. It pulsed with a gentle blue light that matched the rhythm of his heartbeat. Outside his window, the stars seemed unusually bright, patterns shifting in ways that defied astronomical explanation. His phone rang. Jerome. "Hey man, how'd the date go?" "You never called me back." It was unexpected, Kai replied, unable to articulate the truth. Well, I just wanted to check you're okay. I actually don't remember how I met this Lyra person. Weird, right? A chill ran down Kai's spine. What do you mean? I was trying to remember where I know her from, and I just can't. It's like there's a blank spot in my memory. Probably nothing. After hanging up, Kai clutched the pendant, his certainty wavering between rational disbelief and the undeniable pull of memories that felt increasingly real. As sleep claimed him, the crystal grew warmer against his skin, and he surrendered to dreams of a life among the stars, and of loving Lyra across the boundaries of worlds. The veil between worlds' morning light filtered through Kai's blinds as he woke, the crystal pendant warm against his chest. His dreams had been intense, memories of flying through nebulae clouds, of a crystalline city suspended in space, and of Lyra, her true form radiant with celestial light. The line between dream and reality felt increasingly blurred. A text message illuminated his phone. "Meet me at Crescent Lake, noon. Come alone." No signature, but he knew it was from her. Crescent Lake was an hour's drive from the city, a secluded body of water shaped like a waxing moon. As Kai navigated the winding forest road, the pendant began to pulse with increasing intensity. He found Lyra waiting on the shore, her gaze fixed on the still waters. "You wore the crystal," she said with approval as he approached. "I had dreams." "Memories? I'm not sure what's real anymore," Lyra smiled softly. "Both are real in different ways. Your human perception struggles to reconcile dual existences." She gestured toward the lake. "Water exists in many forms, liquid, vapor, ice, yet remains essentially water. You exist in multiple forms across realms, yet remain essentially you. If I'm not human, then what am I?" Kai asked, the question that had haunted him since their first meeting. "You're a celestial guardian, tasked with maintaining the boundaries between realms." She stepped closer, her fingers lightly tracing the pendant at his throat. "We both are. Our kind watches over the cosmic equilibrium, ensuring no single realm dominates another. And we're together?" The words felt right, despite the impossibility. "We were forbidden to be," Lyra corrected. "Guardians of different sectors are not meant to form bonds. Such attachments could compromise our duties." Her eyes held a mixture of defiance and tenderness. "But we did anyway." A rustle in the trees startled them both. Lyra tensed, then relaxed as a fox emerged, regarding them with unusual interest before disappearing back into the underbrush. "The animals sense your true nature," she explained, "even diminished as it is in human form." Lyra led him to the lake's edge, kneeling to touch the water's surface. Ripples spread outward, but instead of dissipating, they began to glow with an ethereal blue light. "I want to show you something," she said, her voice taking on a resonant quality that seemed to vibrate the air between them. "Look into the water." Kai knelt beside her, gazing into the luminous ripples. The surface of the lake shimmered and transformed, revealing what appeared to be a window into another world. He saw vast expanses of stars, but not as viewed from Earth, more like being among them, surrounded by their brilliance. "This is our home," Lyra whispered. "The Imperial Realm." Structures of impossible beauty floated through the starscape, buildings that seemed formed of crystallized light, pathways that wove between celestial bodies, beings with forms both humanoid and otherworldly, moving with purpose through the cosmic landscape. "How can I not remember this?" Kai murmured, transfixed. "Because they took your memories when you fell." Lyra's hand found his, squeezing gently. "When we were discovered, the Council sentenced you to Earth, stripped of your memories and powers. A punishment meant to be temporary, but one they never intended to reverse." The vision in the lake shifted, showing a grand chamber where luminous beings sat in judgment. Kai recognized himself in his true form. Taller, with skin that held an inner radiance, his eyes reflecting the light of distant galaxies. "They feared our bond," Lyra continued. "Guardian unions are rare and powerful. Together, our abilities could potentially challenge the Council's authority." "And you've been searching for me all this time?" Kai asked, turning to face her. "For 12 Earth years." Her eyes glistened. I've been watching, waiting for the right moment when the cosmic alignment would allow me to cross over without detection. What happens now? Lyra rose, pulling him to his feet. Now I help you remember who you truly are, before the alignment ends and the veil between worlds strengthens again. Without warning, she placed both hands on his chest, directly over his heart. A surge of energy coursed through Kai, sending him staggering backward. His vision blurred, then sharpened with preternatural clarity. The world around him seemed suddenly more vivid, colors more intense, sounds more distinct, and beneath it all, he could feel the subtle vibrations of energy coursing through every living thing. "What did you just do?" he gasped. "Activated a portion of your dormant abilities," Lyra explained. "It's risky. It will make you easier for the Sentinels to track, but we're running out of time." As if summoned by her words, a distant rumble of thunder echoed across the lake, though the sky remained clear. "They've sensed the energy surge," Lyra said urgently. "We need to move." As they hurried back toward Kai's car, he felt a strange pulling sensation in his chest, as if something was trying to emerge. His back muscles spasmed painfully. "What's happening to me?" he panted, leaning against a tree. Lyra's expression was a mixture of concern and anticipation. "Your true form is trying to manifest. The human vessel can't contain it much longer." The sky darkened unnaturally overhead, clouds swirling in patterns that defied meteorological explanation. A silver car pulled into the parking area. The man in the charcoal suit from the planetarium stepped out, his movements too fluid to be human. "Sentinel," Lyra hissed. She grabbed Kai's hand. "Run!" They plunged deeper into the forest, away from the paths. As they ran, Kai felt stronger, faster, more agile than should be possible in his human body. The pendant glowed brighter, pulsing in time with the strange energy surging through him. "I feel like I'm changing," he called to Lyra as they vaulted over a fallen tree. She glanced back, her eyes widening. "You're beginning to phase between forms. Don't fight it." In a small clearing, they stopped to catch their breath. Kai caught his reflection in a pool of rainwater. For a moment his image flickered, revealing glimpses of his celestial self overlaid with his human form. "Lyra," he said softly, reaching for her. When their hands met, a spark of blue energy arced between them. She stepped closer, her face upturned to his. "Do you remember us yet?" "Pieces," he admitted. "Fragments that don't quite connect." "Then perhaps this will help." She rose on her toes, pressing her lips to his. The kiss ignited something primal and cosmic within him. Memories cascaded through his mind, stolen moments in crystal gardens, whispered promises under alien skies, the fierce joy of soaring together through star fields. And with the memories came emotions, deep, ancient, powerful. When they finally parted, both were breathless, a subtle luminescence emanating from their skin. "I remember loving you," Kai whispered against her hair, "even if I don't remember everything else." The distant sound of branches breaking interrupted the moment. The Sentinel was getting closer. "That will have to be enough for now," Lyra said, her voice strengthening with resolve. "Because we're about to face our first test." Shadows of betrayal twilight descended as they moved deeper into the forest, the trees growing denser, their ancient trunks like sentinels of their own. The crystal pendant at Kai's throat pulsed erratically, responding to his heightened emotional state and the imminent danger. "We need to find shelter," Lyra whispered, her eyes scanning the darkening woods. "Somewhere I can continue the restoration process without being detected." A flash of memory struck Kai, a technique for concealment, something he had once mastered. Without conscious thought, he placed his palm against a massive oak tree, closing his eyes in concentration. A subtle vibration traveled from his hand into the wood. "This way," he said with sudden certainty, leading Lyra to what appeared to be a solid rock face covered in moss. "You remember?" she breathed, watching as he traced an intricate pattern across the stone's surface. The rock face shimmered, revealing an opening barely visible in the gathering darkness. They slipped inside, and Kai sealed the entrance behind them with another gesture. The space within was larger than it appeared from outside, a cave that seemed to exist partially in another dimension, its walls faintly luminous. A fold in reality, Lyra explained, noting his confusion. Guardians create these safe spaces between worlds. You've accessed an old memory. It feels like muscle memory more than conscious recollection, Kai admitted, examining his hands with newfound wonder. Lyra moved to the center of the cave, where she sat cross-legged on the stone floor. We should be safe here for a few hours. The fold distorts our energy signature. Kai joined her, their knees touching as they faced each other. Tell me what happened. How did I fall? Pain flashed across Lyra's features. The Council discovered our relationship. Guardian bonds are powerful. They enhance our abilities exponentially when we're together. Such power threatens their control. She took his hands in hers. They sentenced you to exile on Earth, stripped of your memories and powers. And you? I was to be reassigned to the farthest reaches of our realm, but during your sentencing I attempted to intervene. Her voice lowered. Sentinel Varen, the one tracking us now, was tasked with your banishment. I fought him but failed. As punishment, I was imprisoned in the void chambers for a decade. 10 years in darkness, Kai murmured, a flash of the void's crushing emptiness crossing his mind. How did you escape? Lyra's expression hardened. I didn't escape. I was released under strict probation, my powers diminished. But they underestimated my determination to find you. She placed her palms against his temples. Close your eyes. Let me show you. Images flooded his mind. Lyra searching countless human settlements across years, following faint traces of his energy signature, finally locating him in the city where he'd built his human life. You've sacrificed everything, Kai said, opening his eyes to gaze at her with newfound understanding. Not everything, she corrected softly. Not yet. Their lips met again, this time with the weight of shared history behind the contact. The pendant between them glowed brighter, its light spilling through Kai's fingers as he pulled Lyra closer. Their kiss deepened, igniting something primal yet transcendent, a connection that existed beyond physical form. Her hands moved beneath his shirt, tracing patterns across his skin that left trails of shimmering light. Every touch unlocked more memories, intimacies shared in gardens of luminous flora, passion expressed beneath alien skies. I remember this, Kai whispered against her neck, his hands finding the zipper of her dress. I remember us? As clothing gave way to skin, their bodies began to emit a subtle radiance, casting the cave in soft blue light. Their coming together was both earthly and otherworldly. Familiar human sensations intertwined with the cosmic energy that flowed between them, amplifying every touch, every sensation. In the aftermath, they lay entwined on their discarded clothes, a faint aura still surrounding them. Kai traced lazy patterns across Lyra's back, each touch eliciting tiny sparks of energy. The restoration is progressing faster than I expected, she murmured, watching the light dance across his fingertips. Is that good or bad? Both. Your celestial self is emerging, but it makes you easier to track. She propped herself up on one elbow. And there's something I haven't told you yet. A chill ran down Kai's spine at her tone. What is it? The Council didn't send me to find you. They believe you're still lost on Earth, your powers dormant. She sat up fully, pulling her dress back over her shoulders. I came on my own against direct orders. Then why is Varen tracking us? Because, Lyra began, but was interrupted by a tremor that shook the cave. Dust and small stones rained from the ceiling. They've found us, she said, scrambling to her feet. A voice echoed through the space, seeming to come from the very walls. Guardian Lyra, by order of the Celestial Council, surrender the exile and return to your assigned sector. Kai recognized the voice from his fragmented memories. Sentinel Varen. We need to run, Lyra urged, hastily gathering their belongings. No, Kai said, a sudden clarity settling over him. We've been running long enough. He stepped toward the sealed entrance, the pendant blazing with light. Varen, I know who I am now. Face me directly if you've come to take me back. Lyra grabbed his arm. Kai, don't. Your powers aren't fully restored. You can't face him yet. Guardian Lyra speaks wisdom. Exile, Varen's disembodied voice replied. But it's not you I've come for. The cave entrance dissolved, revealing not the forest they'd left behind, but a portal of swirling energy. Varen stepped through, tall, imposing. His human disguise shed to reveal his true celestial form, skin like polished obsidian with constellations moving beneath the surface. "The Council has sent me to retrieve Guardian Lyra," he announced, his voice resonating with authority. "Her probation has been revoked due to unauthorized dimensional travel." "I don't understand," Kai said, looking between them. "You're not here for me? Your sentence remains unchanged, Exile. Earth is now your home. The Council has no further interest in you." Varen's gaze shifted to Lyra. "But she has violated the terms of her release, and will face the consequences." A terrible suspicion formed in Kai's mind. "Lyra, what is he talking about?" Her expression was anguished as she turned to face him. "The Council was willing to show leniency, to reduce my sentence in the Void Chambers, if I agreed to never seek you out. Yet here you are," Varen said coldly, "breaking your sworn oath. I couldn't leave you here." "Lost and diminished," Lyra said to Kai, her voice breaking. "I couldn't bear it." Varen extended his hand toward Lyra, tendrils of dark energy reaching for her. "Your defiance ends now, Guardian. The Council awaits." Kai stepped between them, his partially restored power surging. "You won't take her. This doesn't concern you anymore, Exile. Your Guardian status was revoked. You have no authority here." Varen's voice held a note of genuine confusion. "Surely she told you the truth of your fall." "What truth?" Kai demanded, looking back at Lyra, whose face had gone pale. "The Council didn't banish you, Exile," Varen said, lowering his hand slightly. "She did." The cave seemed to spin around Kai. "What?" Lyra stepped forward, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It's not what you think." Guardian Lyra was given a choice, Varen continued mercilessly. "Her position on the Council, or her forbidden bond with you. She chose power. She personally authorized your sentence and memory wipe. Is that true?" Kai asked, his voice barely audible. "I had no choice," Lyra whispered. "They would have destroyed you completely. Exile was the only way to keep you alive." "You had a choice," Varen corrected. "And you chose the Council. Only later, when you realized what you'd lost, did you try to rectify your mistake." The pendant at Kai's throat flared with an angry red light, responding to his emotional turmoil. Memories resurfaced, not of a trial where Lyra fought for him, but of her standing with the Council, her face impassive as she pronounced his sentence. "All this time," Kai said, his voice hollow with betrayal, "you let me believe they took me from you." "I did it to protect you," Lyra pleaded. Reaching for him, Kai stepped back, his partially restored powers creating a barrier between them. "Did you come back for me or for your own redemption?" "Both," she admitted, anguish etched into her features. "I made a terrible mistake. I've spent 12 years trying to make it right." Varen stepped closer. "The alignment ends at tomorrow's dawn. The veil will strengthen, trapping you here if you don't return with me, Lyra." "I won't go back without him," she said firmly. "Then you condemn yourself to a mortal life, your powers fading until nothing remains of what you once were." Varen's expression held something almost like pity. Is he worth such a sacrifice? The cave trembled again, more violently this time. The fold in reality was becoming unstable. "We need to decide now," Lyra said urgently to Kai. "Come with me, back to our true home. Let me make amends for what I did." Kai stood at the precipice of choice, torn between the life he'd known and the cosmic truth now unfolding before him. The pendant pulsed with his heartbeat as dawn approached, the alignment's end drawing near with each passing moment. Beyond the stars, the cave shuddered around them, reality flickering as the dimensional fold began to collapse. Motes of light drifted upward, dissolving into the air like cosmic dust returning to the stars. Kai stood between worlds, between Lyra's outstretched hand and Varen's impassive gaze, between human existence and celestial heritage. The alignment ends in less than an hour, Varen warned, his form starting to shimmer with barely contained energy. Decide now, both of you. Kai closed his eyes, feeling the weight of 2 lives balanced within him. The pendant at his throat had grown hot, almost painful against his skin. When he opened his eyes, they gleamed with inner light. I remember everything now, he said quietly. Not just fragments, but the whole truth. He turned to Lyra, whose face was etched with hope and fear. You did betray me. You chose the council. But that's not the complete story, is it? Lyra shook her head, tears trailing down her cheeks. I thought I was protecting you. The council wanted to erase you entirely, to dissipate your essence across the void. I negotiated for exile instead, believing it was mercy. Her voice broke. I didn't understand the emptiness that would follow, the hollowness of power without meaning. And your return now, breaking your oath, risking everything, that was for redemption? It began that way, she admitted. But seeing you again, helping you remember, it became something more, something true. Her fingers trembled as she reached for him again. I love you, Kai. I always have, even when I thought duty mattered more. Varen made a sound of impatience. This melodrama solves nothing. The fold collapses, and with it, your last chance to return home. Home, Kai repeated thoughtfully, looking around at the dissolving cave. That's the question, isn't it? Where is home? He stepped toward Lyra, taking her hand, feeling the familiar surge of energy between them. I remember our life among the stars. The beauty of it. The purpose we served as guardians. He turned to face Varen. But I also remember the Council's fear of change, of evolution, their rigid adherence to an order that stifles growth. The cosmic balance must be maintained, Varen stated, though something in his tone suggested uncertainty. Balance doesn't mean stagnation, Kai countered. The pendant pulsed in agreement, its light spreading outward to envelop his form. In my time on Earth, I've learned something the Council has forgotten. That love isn't weakness. It's transformation. He pulled Lyra closer. You came back for me at great cost. That courage matters more than your past mistake. Then you forgive me? She whispered. Forgiveness is part of it, Kai said. But so is choice. Real choice. Not the false options the Council offers. The cave walls had become nearly transparent now, the forest beyond visible through their fading substance. Morning light filtered through the trees, signaling the approaching end of the alignment. I choose a third path, Kai announced, his voice resonating with newfound power. There is no third path, Varen insisted, though he took a step back. Seemingly unnerved by the transformation occurring before him, Kai's human form was becoming translucent, his celestial essence shining through. There is always another way if we have the courage to create it. He turned to Lyra. I won't return to the Council's rule, nor will I remain trapped in human form, disconnected from my true nature. His hands framed her face. I choose both worlds. A new beginning. Will you join me? Understanding dawned in her eyes. A bridge between realms. Is that even possible? With our combined power, strengthened by genuine bond rather than divided by false loyalty? Yes. Kai's certainty was absolute. Varen moved to intervene. This defiance will not be tolerated. Kai raised a hand, and to everyone's surprise, Varen froze in place, tendrils of energy binding him temporarily. My powers aren't just returning, Sentinel. They're evolving. Earth has changed me in ways the Council never anticipated. With his free hand, Kai removed the pendant, holding it between himself and Lyra. This crystal contains the essence of both realms. With it, we can create a passage, not just for ourselves, but for others who wish to learn, to grow beyond the Council's limitations. They'll hunt us, Lyra warned, though hope shone in her eyes. Let them try, Kai replied with a smile. We'll have allies in both worlds. The pendant rose from his palm, floating between them, spinning faster until it became a sphere of brilliant light. Kai and Lyra placed their hands on either side of it, their energies merging, amplifying. I need your decision, Lyra, Kai said softly. A new path together? neither fully human nor bound by the Council's restrictions. Something new. Yes, she breathed without hesitation. Always yes. Their combined power surged through the crystal, which expanded outward in a sphere of radiant energy. The cave dissolved completely around them as dawn broke over the forest. Rather than collapsing, however, the dimensional fold transformed, stabilizing into a permanent doorway between worlds. Varen, released from his temporary binding, stared in disbelief. "What have you done?" "Created choice," Kai answered simply. His form had settled into something between human and celestial, mostly human in appearance but suffused with subtle light, his eyes reflecting star fields. Beside him, Lyra had undergone a similar transformation. "The Council will never accept this," Varen said, though his voice lacked conviction. "Then they will have to evolve," Lyra replied, "as we have." The Sentinel regarded them silently for a long moment, conflict evident in his expression. Finally, he straightened, his manner formal. "I am bound to report what I have witnessed here." "Of course," Kai acknowledged. "Tell them everything. Tell them we offer an alternative to their binary thinking, a new way of existing between worlds. And if they send forces against you," Lyra stepped forward, "remind them of their own history. The Council began as reformers, challenging the rigid structures that came before. Perhaps it's time for another reformation." Something like respect flickered across Varen's features. "You speak dangerously, Guardian Lyra." "Former Guardian," she corrected. "I've chosen a different path now." The dimensional doorway pulsed behind them, neither closing with the end of the alignment nor fully opening to either realm. A permanent threshold between worlds. "What will you call yourselves?" Varen asked, preparing to depart. "If not guardians or humans?" Kai and Lyra exchanged a glance, their hands intertwined. "Bridges," Kai suggested. "Those who connect rather than divide." Varen nodded once, then stepped back through his own portal, which sealed behind him, leaving Kai and Lyra alone in the dawn-lit forest. "Do you think he'll advocate for us?" Lyra asked. "I saw doubt in him," Kai replied. "And doubt is the beginning of change." They turned toward their newly created doorway, which had condensed into what appeared to be an ancient stone archway nestled among the trees. Invisible to ordinary human perception, but accessible to those with the awareness to see it. "What now?" Lyra asked, her transformed eyes reflecting the sunrise. "Now we build," Kai said, drawing her close. "A sanctuary for those caught between worlds. A place for learning, for growth." He smiled. "A home. It won't be easy," she cautioned. "We'll have enemies in both realms. And friends," he countered. "Those who, like us, long for something beyond rigid boundaries." Lyra's expression softened as she reached up to trace the contours of his face, now subtly altered by his transformation. 12 years I searched for you, hoping for forgiveness. I never imagined finding a new purpose alongside it." "That's the beauty of love," Kai said, capturing her hand and pressing a kiss to her palm. "It transcends our expectations, challenges our certainties. It transforms us." As the morning sunlight filtered through the trees, they stood at the threshold of their creation, neither fully of earth nor entirely of the stars, but something gloriously new. Behind them lay two separate pasts. Before them stretched a shared future of infinite possibility. "Remember when you asked if I dreamed of falling stars?" Kai said softly. Lyra nodded, her eyes questioning. "I understand now," he continued. "It wasn't about falling. It was about choosing a different path, about having the courage to change." He gestured toward the forest around them, then to the doorway they had created, and finally to the sky above, where stars still faintly glimmered despite the morning light. "All of this is home now. Earth and stars, past and future." Lyra smiled, a radiance that outshone her celestial glow. "Then let's begin." Hand in hand, they stepped forward into their new existence, bridging worlds, healing ancient wounds, and forging a path illuminated not by duty or regret, but by the transformative power of forgiveness and love. As they walked deeper into the forest, subtle traces of starlight followed in their footsteps. wildflowers blooming instantly where they touched the ground. The dimensional doorway stood silent among the trees, waiting for others who might seek passage between worlds, a testament to the truth Kai and Lyra had discovered together, that the most profound journeys often lead not to distant stars, but to the unexplored territories of the heart, the end.